Hello, viewers. Today we have got Dr. Abhishek Maiti. He is presently working in CNRS institutions. He has got several fellowships. He Newton Bhabha Fellowship, CNRS Fellowship, Marie Curie Fellowships, and he started. So, Abhishek, can you tell us about your academic journey?
Okay. First of all, thank you for inviting me for this session. I'll be glad to share my experience. I did my bachelor's and master's from Jadavpur University. Then I moved to Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science for my PhD. Currently, I am doing my postdoctoral research at University Paris-Saclay and CNRS as a Marie Curie postdoctoral fellow.
So, may I request you, because you have availed three overseas fellowship, if you could tell us briefly, because one of them takes to the England, one takes you to France, and one to anywhere in Europe. So,
Hmm.
if you could tell little more about each of these fellowships, particularly
Okay.
with reference to you.
Okay. So in this regard, I must thank my PhD supervisor, Professor Omlan Jepal, because in my lab, he always inspire us to go to an internship in abroad during the PhD tenure. Because in India, somehow we lack the global research trend. So he always suggests to go to have a test for say 3 months or 6 months during the PhD tenure. So in this regard, there are a couple of fellowships like DST provides Newton Bhabha Fellowship. There is some Indo-French fellowship called Raman Charpak. You can take Nehru and Fulbright fellowships. So as I was a DST Inspire fellow, so for me it was easy to apply for the Newton Bhabha Fellowship. But in my case, it was peak COVID time. So I really felt problematic to find a proper host in UK. But somehow after searching, I got it at Lancaster University, UK, and I went there as to do my research as a Newton Bhabha fellow.
So, friends, I think it is very important what you mentioned just now. So, even though times may be challenging, but you need to find a potential host supervisor who could guide
Yes,
you, who could take you to the journey, and who could help you in
yes.
uh, completing the requirement to avail or to apply for these fellowships. So, this reminds me, Abhishek, can you tell our viewers what kind of preparation did you undertake before applying these fellowships?
Okay, so first, Newton Bhabha Fellowship was a joint program between UK and India. So I have to find a host in UK. So that first limits the domain. That's an advantage for me. Then I tried first to apply some big shots in UK, like in Cambridge, Oxford, Imperial College London. So when you will approach them, you should briefly write them that what is your motivation or how this kind of fellowship might help you to improve your skills or your exposure in science. So if you write so that okay, my government is paying me, I can go there for free, you will get a free person, you don't need to pay something, then probably they will not entertain you, because for them they will always try to help people like us to build their career. So somehow you have to explain them how this kind of fellowship might help you to build your career. That's the most important part. And then they might suggest you some project, or they might say okay, let's discuss about the project. That's the later part. But once if they agree to host you, then the rests are more or less sorted.
Okay. So, and anything you would like to comment on your CNRS or IFCPR and Marie Curie Fellowship, your preparation? Because
Okay, so just after finishing my PhD, uh, I must have to apply for a postdoctoral positions, because nowadays postdoctorals are mandatory. But in this regard, I want to clarify one thing. First of all, the society has a misunderstanding that postdoc is a degree, which is not the case. It is basically a research training or practice before one becomes an independent researcher or group leader. So one should first decide when he or she will establish a new research group, what will be his research direction or what they will propose during the job application. I would suggest to see some different missions of Indian government and the research need that is required. For example, I choose to work on quantum materials and technologies. That is an important topic at this moment, not only in India but also in abroad. Then you have to figure out what are the necessary skills that you are lacking. Although I worked in a very highly reputed and established lab, I somehow lacked some skill. Like this kind of quantum technologies, they need an expertise in very low temperature. So that's why I try to find some groups that might help me to bridge the gap. And in this regard, I applied several groups. So I would suggest the aspirants that don't see that what will be the conditions, like if it is in Japan, you should go. If it in Israel, in USA, wherever, even if it is in India, you should go. Don't think about your comfort zone. Then I approached a couple of groups who agreed to host me, and I came here at University of Paris Saclay, which they are rightly doing very good research in quantum technologies, and they have a very nice postdoctoral training module. And first, I came here as a CNRS postdoctoral fellow with their own fundings. Then they proposed to apply for a Marie Curie fellowship because, according to them, this will boost the CV. So I wrote a Marie Curie project and eventually got it.
Very good. Abhishek, can you tell me about the work environment? Because you have
Mm,
studied in Jadavpur, Kolkata, then you have been to Leicester, and currently you are in France.
mm.
What kind of work ambience or work environment do you find, and what kind of correction you would like to do when you come to India? How our system should be more effective?
Okay. Uh, in my lab in IACS, uh, this is a very reputed and very highly qualified lab in that sense. So if when I compare my lab with the lab at UK and France, I don't see any difference. But I have heard situations from my friends in some Indian labs. So from that basis, I can give you a general idea what should be the difference. So somehow in Indian environment, the mental health of a PhD student is not so great like a PhD student in France or in UK. So there, the PhD training, this should be somehow changed a little bit, and the student should work in a healthy environment so that they could deliver their best. Because, okay, when you are doing a PhD, it's a new kind of training. Sometimes you might get demotivated if your work is not going in a right directions. But in that situation, you have to be motivated, and the lab environment should be something like that so that you can overcome these challenges.
Abhishek, can you tell me something about your research journey? Like what kind of work you undertook in your PhD, what kind of work you did in Leicester, what kind of work you are doing currently, and what is your eventual goal? What you would like to deliver to the society by your research?
Okay. So when I joined IACS, my research was to study some localized quantum physics in energy materials that might be useful for solar cells, light emitting diodes, this kind of systems. In this direction, I used a technique called a scanning probe microscopy, where at the microscopic level, you can discover the physics and then you can apply these concepts to build devices. Then when I moved to UK, there my research was something similar, but here I used to work with solar cells and LED devices, but there I worked with thermoelectric materials that are also important for energy generations. So in my PhD, my research was more mainly focused on energy materials and their physics. And now I have moved a little bit because, again, I would suggest the aspirants try to change your research topic a little bit and try to work on new fields so that they will enhance your possibility to get a new positions in India. So that's why I changed it a little bit and I focused on quantum materials and quantum technologies. Now I am working on quantum computations. So here there is something called Majorana fermions, which should be the ideal component for these quantum operations. And but nobody has found it yet. So I am trying to find this kind of features in different material systems. And when I will, so my next goal is to get a permanent position in India, preferably. So after 2 years, when I will finish this, I will start to apply, and then I will try to introduce this kind of techniques and measurement schemes in Indian environment or Indian research system.
Thank you, Abhishek. I think this is a very, very important statement you made, that people normally feel that postdoctoral fellowship are natural extension of their PhD work, which is not. Because
Yes,
PhD helps you in training and taking independent questions with the guidance of your mentor. Postdoctoral fellowship provides you an opportunity to be independent thinker. What would be your next question you would like to answer? Don't extend your PhD work, but please think something different using your skill set, what you have learned during your PhD. So I think
yes,
this is a very, very important message. And Abhishek, what would be your advice to the future aspirants who are planning various fellowships? Because you have been number of fellowship, you have been Inspire Fellow, you have been. But before that, one more thing I must say. Uh, Fellows like Abhishek who are planning to return, you see, there are opportunities like Ramalinga Swami Fellowship and Ramanujam Fellowship, which
yes,
are exclusively reserved for young postdocs who would like to return to India and take immediate placement. And these
yes.
are 5-year positions uh,
Hmm.
where you could get attached to any institution of your choice.
Hmm.
Now, coming to the last question, Abhishek, what would be your advice to the future aspirants?
Okay. So first of all, I want to give you a good news to the Indian aspirants. So after working like 2 years in abroad, I have found that most of the PIs in abroad, it doesn't matter wherever, uh, they like Indian PhD students a lot. And there is a huge demand of PhD students, Indian PhD students as a postdoc in abroad. Because they feel that Indian students are more hardworking, and they always try to deliver their best. So that's why nowadays it's not so difficult to land a postdoc, but you have to keep patience and you have to apply. So if you apply it like 100 or 200, then probably you will get like 5 or 10 replies, and then finally you will land one postdoc. But these are like general postdocs with their own funding. And now if you want to apply for external fellowships like name fellowship like Marie Curie or Alexander von Humboldt fellowship, Newton fellowship, then you should start to make connection with your future supervisor from an early stage, because this process take long time. Or you can make an arrangement like me, that okay, I will first go there with you with some funding. I will stay there for 1 year, and then eventually I will apply in the meantime for these kind of fellowships, which might help me. And the most important thing that I want to share with the aspirants, that I have seen many PhD students who don't want to go beyond their comfort zone. Like somebody might complain, okay, if I go to Canada, I have to work in an environment at minus 30 degrees Celsius. Okay, if I go to Japan, I will not get good food. If I go to a non-English speaking country, my social life will be hampered. Don't think about this thing. You first recognize a good lab that will help you to build your career. So these 2 years or 3 years, it's not like to enjoy your life. Yes. So you have to work hard and you have to be mentally prepared to be cope with any kind of adverse situation, and that will make you mentally stable. Because when you will start your research career, that will not be so easy. You will have to face a lot of difficult situations. So you this training will also help you to be mentally very strong.
Yeah, thank you, Abhishek. And I think I could add something what you said earlier. not only your application, but you should be very careful in drafting the application, what you would like to do, because statement of purpose is very, very important. And that is something that could influence the faculty when you are applying for these fellowships. So it would
Yes.
be important that when you are selecting a particular faculty, read about him or her, because these days websites are there, Google Scholar is there, which can give you a good amount of information, what kind of researcher he or she is. So develop your application in sync with their interests, then they would be more interested. Thank you, Abhishek.
Yes.
It was nice talking to you, and have a good evening.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you very much.